You're speaking things into fruition. Like I had a vision in my brain, I spoke it, and I created it. And it's really cool. And you can do it too. Hi there. My name is Shani Lynn, and I'm a professional artist out of Central Florida. And I recently had my first solo art exhibition, both in person and a virtual art exhibition. And I wanted to share with you that experience, a very transparent perspective on hosting my first art exhibition. Biggest thing if you're putting together any kind of show or art exhibition, anything like that, get organized. And the best way that I was able to do it was getting a binder, just a regular binder. I just got a binder off of from Office Depot. I put my flyer on the front of it so it feels more like legit. And I put everything, all of my ideas, all of the different details that were going into it in this binder. This was my freaking this was everything. This went with me everywhere for those 2 months. I even had a little pocket to keep all of my receipts and then the tickets if anybody wanted a ticket while I was just randomly out. I had I started out with a million different to-do lists, and they were all over my house. And you think of something and then you write it down, but then you put the paper down somewhere. No. Get yourself a binder. I promise you, it will be the best thing in the world. And get organized. So number one, we picked the venue. We decided on which venue space we wanted. Second thing we did was set a date that would work for the venue. We picked August the 2nd, and we walked the space, we measured the space. After measuring out the space, I mapped out exactly how I wanted the space to flow, how I wanted the people to walk throughout the space. I mapped it out, and then I verbally created a voice note and verbally mapped out everything that was going to take place during the art exhibition. And so after I created that voice note, then I took it and worked backwards. So I listened to the voice note and made a note of everything that I was said. Cool. So they can come in and they get to see the art. There's art on all the walls and on the Z-shaped man-made wall. There are drinks in the back, water, and then there's other drinks just like lemonade. And for food, there's a charcuterie board of different small crackers, cheese, fruits, that's something of that nature, and small plates. And then they move around to the art itself. There is descriptions on each one of the pieces. Well, the really cool thing about doing it that way is basically you're speaking things into fruition. Like I had a vision in my brain, I spoke it, and I created it. And it's really cool. And you can do it too. So after that, after breaking all that down, I created progressive workflows for each thing that needed to get done. So keep in mind, I'm doing everything. Me and my boyfriend, I should say, are doing everything. The promotion, talking to the other vendors, because I wanted to do an in-person art exhibition as well as a virtual art exhibition. So I knew I wanted like a 360 camera to be in there. I knew I wanted to record the whole thing with a videographer. So there was a lot of moving pieces, and we needed to take on all of this within 2 months. So I created progressive workflows on Canva, and it was really easy. Canva's free. So we did a marketing promotion schedule. We did a painting schedule because I still had some paintings that I wanted to create to show in the art exhibition. We created a structure building schedule where I did build the walls, those man-made walls in the middle. I designed it, like I said, I'm an AutoCAD tech, so I designed the walls first, and then went to the Home Depot or Lowe's, and I think I went to both, and built all of those walls. So I had a schedule for that. I had a schedule for talking to different vendors. I had 2 different vendors there plus the venue itself would be considered a venue if you want to say that. And then also acquiring all the necessary items like all of the food and the drinks and the tickets themselves, and there was just a lot of little things that needed to take place. And it was a 3-hour event, but it took 2 months to put the whole thing together. So once we created all of those workflows, I printed them out because I wanted them to feel organized. It was time to start executing the plan. So, it is the day of the art exhibition. It also happens to be my boyfriend's birthday that day, and so I wanted to leave him a ton more of little love notes throughout the art exhibition. That plan didn't really work out, but he got a special birthday present later anyways. So once we got to the venue space the morning of the exhibition, I realized that I had left the screws that I needed to build the wall. I left them at my apartment, which was 45 minutes away from the venue space. So, fortunately, it just so happened that my best friend spent the night at my house that night, so she brought them to me. But we were on kind of a time crunch because I had a schedule. The 360 video lady, her name is Vanessa. She was freaking amazing. iTour Video, I believe is her. I'll leave her contact information up above. She was amazing. If you ever want to do a 360 video, call her because she will hook you up. Yes. But we were on a time crunch. It was a lot, but with the help of my boyfriend Tristan, my best friend Cassie, Tino, and Vanessa, we all put together the art exhibition, and we were finished by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And Vanessa took her shots. It took about 30 minutes for her to do her thing with the 360 video. By 3:30, the videographer had arrived. His name is Connor with Nice Times. He also did an amazing job. Shout out to Connor. But we got there, put the final touches on, and then the doors were open at 4, and the attendees started flowing in. So overall, once the attendees started flowing in, everybody had a great time. Most of the people that had purchased tickets did show up, which was great. We sold a lot of raffle tickets. We had 3 different prizes for raffles. It was 3 different paintings. One was an abstract, a large abstract. We had some watercolor sketches, and then I had a painting of a flower vase that I had done years ago. So now I want to talk about what worked really well and what didn't really work, so that people, for future exhibitions, they have an idea of at least my experience. What worked really well was the raffle tickets. I wanted to figure out a way to get people to buy quite a few raffle tickets. We sold them $2 each for a raffle ticket, and I was thinking, when we were brainstorming, I was thinking, should I just have a ton of raffle prizes, like a ton of options, so people can put more, buy more tickets and put more in? Or should I do like a deal, $2 per ticket, or for 7 tickets you could pay $10, or you could pay $20 and get 16 tickets. So it was kind of a benefit. If you spend more, you get a little bit more kind of thing, and it worked out really well. We made about, I want to say like $300 off of raffle tickets. I want $200 or $300 off of raffle tickets. So that was pretty good for 3 items that were really easy to make. That's not bad at all. So the setup itself was a really good design. I liked how the walls worked. We would make some tweaks to the walls. if I could, but generally speaking, it worked well in the space. We did not end up including wine. In the beginning, when I was planning everything out, I wanted to have wine, but I'm glad we didn't. We ended up just doing water and lemonade, and it worked out just fine. What also really worked well was the fact how the videos were attached to each painting. I go more into detail about that later, but people really loved that. We had the option for people to purchase headphones so they could hear the videos themselves, but I think I promoted enough to let people know to bring their own headphones so they wouldn't have to purchase any. So we didn't really sell, I don't think we sold any headphones at all, even though I had like 30 of them to sell. So I'm just taking those back to the store, ain't no big thing. Overall, the majority of the show, I definitely, it worked. People really enjoyed themselves. They were talking about it for a long time. They kept complimenting, they kept telling my mom how proud they were of me, and you know, overall people had a really good time. So from that regards, definitely the show was a success. So what didn't work in the show? Overall, I think the pricing of the original art was too high. Sort of. I think people were, that for that specific crowd, it was too high. They didn't come here to spend thousands of dollars. My highest ticket price was $7,000 for my Harry Styles painting, because I love that painting. And then I think for original art, the cheapest was like $300, $350 for like one of the video game controllers, which was like a smaller painting. So the ticket pricing was too high for that crowd. I don't know that I would necessarily, looking back at it, I don't know that I would necessarily drop my pricing down for everything, but I would offer prints as an option, because a lot of people were interested in some of the paintings, but they weren't really trying to spend that much money. So I could have, if I would do it again, I definitely would offer prints to be, you know, sold at the art exhibition. And interestingly enough, I originally was gonna do that, but I just did not want to keep a bunch of inventory for no reason. And the idea to do the subscription thing, which I'll talk about later, it took precedence in my brain. So pricing of the original, the subscription service itself. I thought it was a wonderful idea. I had come across something similar to that online, I think on Instagram, and I thought, oh my gosh, people were gonna love that. It's only $8. So I had a subscription service that was for men and women. They would get a painting every month, just a print of a painting every month. That came with a letter, basically giving them their flowers, telling them that they're doing a great job, and just, you know, a lovely note in the mail every month with a painting, with an original painting. It would be $8 a month. For this crowd, it didn't really work. We had that subscription, and then we had another subscription specifically for guitarists, because I'm into guitar. And it was all about learning new songs every month. So you get a new song every month with the portrait of a famous guitarist or a singer, and you get the song. But that didn't really work either. I don't think anybody paid for that either. I thought it would be a great hit, but nah. I think it was just too much information too. You couldn't really understand what it was. So that didn't work. So I printed all of that stuff, and none of it sold. I think I can sell it at another event that's coming up soon that I'm excited about, but for this one, it didn't work. So definitely, if I was gonna do prints of anything, it would be prints of the work that's out there, that's, you know, that you can see. Setup time frame. So it took a lot longer to set up than I had anticipated. I think because I knew how I wanted it to be set up, I assumed that I could get it up in 2 hours, no problem. It took about 4, with the help of a total of 5 of us putting it all together. It still took 4 hours to put everything up. So definitely give yourself as much time as you possibly can have. If you can set up the night before, that would probably be even better. But because it won't be so time constrained. But definitely setup time, get more than what you need, because we did not have the amount of time that we should have. If it was originally, I just planned for me and Tristan to be building all the walls, and that would have taken even more time. So that's what I'm saying. I would say give yourself at least 5 hours to set up. My hair didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. I had like curled it and everything, but I had it all curly, and then once I showed up that morning to the venue and started putting everything together, you know, during the setup process, I was getting hot because I was moving around so much, so my curls fell. So keep that in mind. I mean, if you spend a lot of time and money on your hair and it's like supposed to be curly or whatever, keep in mind that it's going to, when you're setting up, if you're the one that's actually setting up everything, your hairstyle might fall if it's a curl or whatever. So keep the curlers in while you're working, while you're setting everything up, or just keep that in mind. Like, yeah, just keep that in mind for your hairstyle. So I had to change my hair altogether during the show. The venue itself, what didn't really work, the lighting, and like I mentioned before, the lighting in the venue wasn't as great as it could have been. I wish it would have been brighter, and I had used that venue space in the past for other events, and I just remember it being a lot brighter, but it was not bright enough for an art exhibition. So keep that in mind when you're visiting venues. You know, how is the lighting, and is there lighting coming from both sides of the walls? Because if only your light is coming from this side of the wall, but you have a man-made wall in the middle, then everything on this side won't really get lit. So keep that in mind. And then again, the headphones themselves, as I mentioned, since I had videos attached to each of the paintings, I wanted people to make sure that people were able to hear the videos, and to make sure everybody was able to hear them, I was selling headphones. Nobody bought them, and that's okay. I can just take them back. It's no loss on my end. It just, you know, that didn't work. So budget-wise, in terms of how much money was spent to put the whole art exhibition together, and I have most of it written down here. The videographer, he was also amazing. I posted on Facebook. I'm in a lot of like Facebook wedding type groups, so I posted on there that I was looking for a videographer to shoot my art exhibition, and I only had it was a $200 budget, and it could be unedited, because I know how to edit videos myself. So I posted that on there, and I got a ton of responses. I ended up working with Connor with Nice Times, and he was freaking amazing. My Office Depot budget, which was not on here at all, like a crazy person, I gotta calculate what that is. This is the number that it ends up being. I did not calculate, you know, because I printed out a ton of stuff. I'll show you all the things that I printed. So that adds up. The framing material, the wood pieces themselves were not that expensive. I think it ended up being like, I want to say like $20. But I went back a couple of times because the guy kept cutting like when you go to Lowe's, you can get wood cut there. And the first time I went there, I just told the guy the measurements, and he kept cutting the wrong measurements, which was really freaking annoying, because once I brought it home and started building the frames, they weren't big enough, and they were all sorts of weird ass sizes. So the second time I went up in there, I brought my own measuring tape, and I picked all the wood out that I wanted. It was stirring strips, I believe, and picked it out and marked it myself so that I knew that they were gonna be the right size. And he still got it wrong a little bit, but it was workable at least. My overall budget was this number. So clearly we didn't, and I made this much from raffle tickets. Because we didn't, like, if I would have sold just one painting, I probably would have been fine, at least in the green. I say all that, but at the end of the day, I still would have done it all over again. And I say that because I learned so many things. I learned how to create small videos. I learned how to deal with different vendors. I learned how to put together an entire art exhibition. I learned how to build walls, gallery walls. I learned some painting techniques that I didn't have before. I just learned a lot. I learned about how to post an event on Eventbrite and sell tickets through Eventbrite. So that's kind of the thing about being a business owner, is you're gonna learn so much. The person that I am now is different than the person that I was before I put together this art exhibition. So those are my kind of final thoughts. It was a lot of work. It was a valuable experience. So post-show emotions. Once the show was completely done, I felt mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. Honestly, I was happy with the turnout of the show, how everything, how professional everything looked, and how many people showed up, the overall experiences. I created surveys for people to leave me any suggestions for future shows, and those were positive. But realistically, in all transparency, I felt defeated right after the show, and I talked to my boyfriend about it too. I felt defeated because I hadn't sold any of the original paintings, the bigger paintings. I sold raffle tickets, and that was about $300 worth of raffle tickets, but I didn't sell any of the original work, which was kind of the goal. And I think and obviously, like I mentioned before, it was because the pricing was listed too high for that crowd. Because that specific crowd was really mostly built up of people that were just there to support me as like they knew me personally, so they wanted to show their support, which is great, and I'm extremely appreciative of them for that. But I recognize that, okay, that's not the crowd that you want to only target. You want to target a different crowd if you actually want to sell those more expensive paintings. So that's fine. That was a lesson learned. I had to take a couple of days to decompress from the whole art exhibition. Once it was all over, I was aware of how much mental energy was consumed by this art exhibition. For 2 months, I never clocked out. Like, going to bed, I was dreaming about what I needed to do for the art exhibition. I had my kids helping me. It was 2 months of never clocking out. And once it was all over, I found it hard to kind of shut my brain off of different ideas for the art exhibition. Like, oh, I could do this. Ooh, I would want to do that painting. Ooh, I want to do this. It took a few days to kind of stop doing that, to kind of get back into reality. And I felt so fortunate to have the support system that I had, mainly my boyfriend Tristan. My parents really supported me too. I was so fortunate to have Tristan to talk through all of those emotions with me, because from the outside perspective, it could look like, she's just being extra or whatever, but it was a lot. It was a roller coaster of emotions after the show for me, because I felt like, I didn't make as much money as I wanted to make. I still have all these ideas floating around. I'm still kind of wired, so I felt so heavily emotional, and fortunately I had my boyfriend to kind of help me come back to reality. So thank God for him. So overall, the art exhibition was a success. I really enjoyed it. Other people really enjoyed it. I know what I would do next time. Again, I would have it kind of for a different crowd. I would promote to a different crowd, not just people on Facebook or my friends and family. I would definitely promote to a wider audience like you guys. And I would have prints made. But overall, the experience itself was a great one. Again, definitely recommend putting together a binder that has everything in here that you will need, all the different ideas that come to your head for the art exhibition. Put it in the binder. Don't just write it out and just set it down somewhere. Put it in the binder because you will thank yourself later. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for spending time with me. If you want to check out the virtual art exhibition, there is a link below that will take you to a discounted ticket. On my website and what I've been promoting, it is $8, but the link below will show you a $5 link. So definitely check it out. If you are an artist and you're interested in creating an art exhibition for yourself, whether it is an in-person or a virtual art exhibition or both, definitely check out mine. And if you have any questions or comments or just, suggestions for anything, leave it down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about my art exhibition. Thank you for spending time with me, and I hope to see you in future videos. Bye.